beefing up here. Hello, hello. How you doing? Hello, everyone. Hello. So, yeah, I got buttons to work on. I gotta work on some timing skills. Anyway, technical stuff, but that's not why we're here. How you doing today? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Pretty good. Thank I feel a little funny. I just go with the flow, you know. Even with my own feelings, I have no idea what I'm going to expect each day. Just let's be some crazy something or other that's gonna happen. Just let it happen. So we had our journey. Hello, everyone out there. Yes, we know you're here too. Welcome. And we had, well, we come here to talk about and discuss is our whole journey together in the astral and the dream field plane, something or other. And we come together and have fun with that. And hopefully, we're going to be all trained eventually to actually achieve coming together in, say, either astrally or dreamly. We haven't decided, and we're probably going to do several different options all the time. But this last week, during the full moon, we had a journey, kind of. We had the intention to come together, and we put it in Stonehenge, and I gotta tell you, I didn't put a whole lot of effort into it, but I did put my intention. It was nice and strong, and it was beautiful. And spending a good half an hour before I went to bed, focused on it. But as far as deliberately full on, totally intense trying, I was staying relaxed about it. How about you?
Yes, I had a really cool experience. It was very similar as and really focusing on it. And I tried to do a couple of days, and I had one day that was I feel the most successful. But every single day I had really intense dreams and really vivid and very emotional dreams.
Oh yeah,
So they were
that's good.
yeah they were cool. Some of them were like anger dreams. They weren't that cute. But, oh.
It's okay. Nobody recorded them. Well, not this time. But
But they were
at least
so intense. It was great.
yeah, yeah. I had some pretty intense ones, just for short moments throughout the evenings. But the day before the moon and the day after, especially.
Yeah,
Yes. But we got a whole hour here. Let's not get into it before we
I know, right?
out a little bit.
Stretch it out.
I gotta say, I had a similar, as far as on the day of the moon, I had a
Mhm.
similar experience with, well, because I'm familiar with the death experience, I kind of know what's there. And even just after having the dream experience I had the day before, which was pretty cool, I never made it to Stonehenge, but a lot of parties, a lot of people
Mm.
all over the place. Yeah, including Chris out there, who is a registered dreamwalker. Uh,
Nice.
talking to me saying how unsuccessful he is with traveling in the dreams. Like, well, you're here now. But as far as I was really going somewhere. The astral experience, as I mentioned to you, that since my death experience, I haven't really needed, or it wasn't, haven't been drawn to seeking out spiritual experiences, and it's kind of like that. Like, in the, we can always get more into that, but it's pretty intense. Like I have stuff here now. Like I let go of everything before. I wanted to transcend the world. I was letting go of all of it. And now I have children, you know, and now I
Mm-hmm.
have a family. Now I'm building this thing up, and I was going into this astral projection thing, and I found out and I realized that I am afraid I won't be coming back if I do it. There is a little bit of fear, and I know it's not true as far as if I wanted to come back, but I didn't want to take that chance. So I kept
Mm.
the whole dream thing for this time around, and who knows, we're gonna warm up into it. But I even last time when I did ayahuasca, I was nervous about dying in the same fashion because it was so familiar of an experience, and I just was thinking, oh, my boys, I can't leave my boys in this
Mm.
whole experience that I'm doing. So I was nervous it was going to happen without me wanting it to happen, you know, without my decision. But at the same time, that's all delusion, as we're going to get into, I'm sure, today.
Yeah. Wow, that's very interesting because I guess because I haven't had a death experience like yours at all. I've only had experiences of traveling, astral travel, and to me it doesn't feel scary, but I think it's because all of the times that I've been successful have been inadvertent. So, it's not like I don't know. It's different, and I don't have any reservations about it because I guess because every experience I've had has never taken me so far to feel like okay, I'm not coming back. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's kind of intense.
Well, I know at the same time it's not true, but I also haven't been in that same way practicing actually doing it. I've been uh, trying to be here in that same way as I before I felt like I was more of the body, more of the person here, and I wanted to know more about the spiritual experiences. Like I didn't remember about it, and didn't know much about it, and all this stuff. So I was always striving for it, achieving more and more and more. And then since the death experience, it was literally flipped, and I had more experiences of the spiritual universe than I had ever had of the physical universe.
Hmm.
And that's kind of the whole deal is that now I realize and recognize I want to be here, and the whole essence of my spiritual being wants to be here and have these, you know, little time experiences. So it is.
Interesting.
In a way, I mean, I didn't realize until that day that it was a sense of fear. It was
Hmm.
more, I have been deliberately choosing to not do it and to stay here. I haven't been, as I mentioned last time, haven't been trying to remember my dreams a whole lot or anything. So
Hmm.
it's like a totally different experience now, and it's in a way it's like, well, you're not doing what you're telling everybody else to do, but
Oh, that's interesting.
that way I think of it
I
now
hear it. Yeah.
like I had a good example of what I mean by it, which I can't think off the top of my head, but you know, I've done it so much that now I feel like I'm just supposed to teach people how to do it, and I don't want to completely necessarily do it myself right now. but we're going. It's inevitable. It's all inevitable.
Yeah, I think eventually it'll just happen. I mean, if we keep practicing, it'll just happen.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
really interesting. Yeah. Um, that actually reminds me of something related, not exactly, it's not necessarily about astral traveling or having these spiritual experiences, but it is about sort of being a teacher for the thing. Um, and it's I heard.
Teachers, but they teach, right?
Yeah, well, no, it's like I heard what was I doing? I can't even remember what context I heard this in, but somebody was talking about like oftentimes the person teaching about the thing that they're teaching about doesn't actually get to experience the thing they're teaching about because
You know
um
what?
and this happens a lot like with relationship coaches, like they end up not having partners or like whatever, and it's really interesting. It's almost like you learn so much about the thing you're almost like precluded, not you, just anyone who becomes like very good at what
Yeah.
at the thing they're teaching. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's like a sense of mastery of it that now you want to move on to something else. In a way, and but you can always tell people how to do it, like maybe a Sherpa. And like you can guide someone to the monastery, but you don't necessarily want to partake of the monastery anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Which my favorite
Yeah. Exactly.
Sherpa, and it says Sherpa. So yeah, lots of parties for me. In fact, I have notes. I had a note. I wanted to mention some stuff. Where is it? Yeah. Okay.
So you
Yeah.
went to lots of parties. That's interesting. So this full moon, I could talk a little bit about the astrology while you're looking for your notes.
Yeah. Okay.
And this full moon that we just had, we came out of the moon. Where was it? In Capricorn, and went into Aquarius. The full moon was in Aquarius, so it was really clearing out a lot of stuff. And it's interesting that you're talking about this realization that you had about the fears that were there that you didn't necessarily recognize before, these last couple of days. And
Yeah.
this full moon was actually clearing a bunch of stuff, and I think that has a lot to do with part of why you had these realizations. And for me, my in my astrology, my moon is in Aquarius, so it was actually very intense for me, personally. And I think that also had a lot to do with why I had the experiences that I had, and it was definitely clearing. Like those anger dreams were like, oof. Every time I woke up, it was like, oh man, I really needed to get rid of that. But it was interesting to have it combined with this desire and really strong intention to do the traveling in our dreams. It was it was cool because I was hyper aware of what my dreams were every time I woke up, and I woke up several times throughout the night. And since I've been having extremely vivid dreams. So it's almost like it woke something up, obviously, just
Yeah. Yeah.
intending to do it.
Yeah, intending with each other, and with those out there. And as we mentioned a few episodes ago, that this casts over time. Many people in the future and in the past are doing this as well. And that's something like the first night. So the Tuesday night before the moon was, yeah, big house party. A lot of crazy stuff happening, but tons of people approached me and were asking me questions and were saying great to meet you and stuff like that. And but it seemed like endless people, and as weird as a dream is, time is hard to tell. But it was definitely something. All I was aware of was like, okay, okay, all these people, I gotta get moving into something else. So I feel like at the same time, a lot of people that have yet to be participating in this experience with us, as far as time goes here, are definitely participating with us. But I didn't make it to Stonehenge. It was in some weird house, and I don't think I've been in before. I often do that, have kind of a familiar house, but I don't know what it is. And oh, you were making a cheese platter in the kitchen.
A
Yeah,
cheese platter.
yeah, yeah. We're putting a cheese platter
That's
together.
great, because I'm a vegan.
Yeah, there was meat on it. Yeah.
That is awesome.
I think it was a cheese platter, I guess. I really didn't think much about it. I just wrote it down as something I remember. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that night, Chris, I remember Chris vividly. Chris out there, it's pretty cool. You're like, it's not working for me, Devin. I don't know how to get. It doesn't make any sense. you know, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, then the following night on the moon, I, I actually usually see pretty vivid colors and lights in my eyelids, and I wasn't seeing much. It was pretty interesting. But I did start going down as I started with the whole letting go of everything. I did start feeling the separation of the body
Mm.
experience and kind of seeing that tunnel of light. And quickly, yeah, I was like, I don't want to do this, because it felt more like the death experience than it did uh, astral projection, as I've had, you know, hundreds of experiences. And so as far as that, I concluded the night with that, because I wasn't exactly willing to keep going at that moment. But it did bring up and recognize this this decision to be in the world again has been distorted over these past 5 years into that sense of fear. Like, I don't think it was fear before, it's
Oh.
the same decision, but I've now even misunderstood my same decision into this sense of, you know, using it as fear. Like, really, we don't really experience fear. We experience what resentments and grievances we have that we hide behind fear. We want to, you know, I don't want to admit that there's something hiding behind there, so I'm going to run from it because it's terrifying, you know? And it's in that same kind of field, that same realm. So it's going to be interesting that I get to go on this journey as well and admit these things to you. I did have dreams the following night, but I feel like I want to turn it over to you here.
That's fascinating, Devin, because if you think about it, I feel like we were saying this earlier in a couple episodes ago or a couple broadcasts ago about how this has been written for eons. And what's fascinating to me is the fact that you wouldn't necessarily have even realized what you're saying if we hadn't undergone this whole adventure. To me, that's just like, I mean, I guess eventually you would have figured it out if you just did it on your own, but it just kind of, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
the accountability piece for me, like the fact that we are doing this together and that we're asking others to join us and that others are joining us is a huge amount of accountability, and so we're having to do it, and that kind of really made it challenging in the sense of you couldn't just be like, well, I'm just gonna not do it tonight. Like you couldn't really back out of it, right?
Yeah,
Because you're like, I
this
gotta
whole
be the
thing,
leader here.
this whole thing, oh, I'm a leader? Crap. Someone didn't tell me. I didn't get the memo. But yeah, no, it's, you know, it's something that we have to, and it's require that we have something to hold us in the body. It's not, you're not just going to be sitting in the body with nothing to hold on to. So those things that we're holding on to are these resentments and grievances that are usually covered up by that sense of fear, grief, doubt, disbelief, and so on. And they're all defining this reality. And so it's easy to stay in the reality only if you're, say, afraid of the resentments and grievances you have. A Course in Miracles refers to the idea that it's actually that you're the same idea of the fear of God and being that you don't want to approach God, don't want to be a part of God, and you actually are resenting certain ideas, like you think God has attacked you or gone against you when it's really you gone against God, and so on. But it's all, aside from all the terminology, this experience, it really, if we can make it simple, like make it just simple, that would be great. Myself here. It'd be great to make it simple.
I love that. I love that. So, I wanted to talk about your experience. I wanted to mention this, that it's interesting how it's developing for me. To me, it's interesting. My experience was, one day it was just all dreams. The day of the moon was really cool, and the day after the moon was all dreams. So the day of the full moon, I went outside, and I live on this, like, the side of a mountain, so the views I get are pretty amazing. And so it was just like really amazing. The moon was ginormous, and I specifically asked the moon for help with this endeavor, and I said, please help me go wherever it is that I need to go. And then I laid down, went to bed. I had Julia in the bed with me, which was really interesting. And she actually she's like a cuddle bug, and she likes to basically, like, just wrap herself around me like a sloth or something like that. But this night she only had her legs, like, on top of my legs. So that sensation, actually, like, I fell asleep, kind of, not fell asleep. So I closed my eyes, and my body fell asleep, and my mind was completely active. So I went almost really quickly, without even realizing what was happening, into this really intense state of, like, the astral projection sensation that happens in my body, where, like, my self is separate from the body. I feel my body very intensely, but it feels really heavy, and it's really relaxed. And then I am, like, not attached to my body anymore. That's, like, the best way I can describe it when I go into this particular sensation. And that was super cool for me, because I hadn't been able to do that, I guess I would say, at will, really, ever. And I think it had a lot to do with us doing it all together as a group, like having the group intention, and then also asking the moon, but also having Julia's legs on me, like, that heaviness feeling triggered it immediately. Like, I don't know what it was about it, and it just, my body was like, okay, we're good. And it like flipped a switch, and my eyes were completely closed, but it was like I had them open. I could see everything in the room.
Nice.
And it was super cool. And that's one of the ways that people describe the experience to be when they're first starting to practice astral travel and astral projection. But I had never actually experienced that particular sensation at will. So it was really cool.
So did you feel like you were in the same location, but a separation from your body? Kind of
I
like
was,
sleep paralysis is usually misunderstood as like you're actually detached from the body and you don't realize it.
yeah, I mean, it was definitely like sleep paralysis. Like my body was asleep. My body was completely asleep. Like I was so relaxed and I got really excited actually. So my immediate response was like, "Oh shit, it's happening." And I was like, "Yes, I did it." And then and my eyes were closed, but it was like I could see everything even though there was no light. Every light was off, but I could see as if the lights were on and I was still in the room, but it I wasn't attached to my body. And so I was like, all right, now let's go. Let's go. I was like, all right, cool. My body's asleep. It was almost like there were two people. And I was like coaching myself to do it. And it was weird because I almost like wanted the coach to like leave the body and be like, all right, let's go, dude. Because I was like, okay, the body said yes, we're doing it. And I'm good with it. And I wanted the other part of me to go, but there was a part of me that was like, I'm really comfortable right here. It wasn't even like scary. It was just like, no, I like this feeling right now. It feels really good. Like this sensation right here is really nice. And there wasn't even to know. It was just no response. It was just like, I'm going to stay here.
I mean, I feel like I relate completely with what you're talking about. I mean, of course, it's in my experience, my sensations, and so on. But I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about just because I've been through it for one, and that just the whole sensation of being completely relaxed and where your body can be asleep at the same time as your mind being completely active, not necessarily running around monkey mind crazy, but just it's aware and coherent and talking to yourself as a crazy person. Uh, yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about there. It's pretty exciting, definitely exciting. This the first time by will making this happen. We gotta remind everybody out there, we're joining together, we're helping each other, we're supporting each other in this, and all of our energy and yours and everything, all just doing this and choosing this at the same time, is just coming together. It's just amazing. It's just beautiful to see this happening, and that you will get the support you need if you are willing to believe and willing to allow it to happen. And I mean, Chandra, would you say that part of it is that now you kind of have a more idea? I mean, the reason it happened for you at will is because you have a little bit more of a supported belief in it. Like maybe myself, for an example, telling you about my successes and capabilities. Like I don't think you really knew what Ash or what the vision one, what the visual. I can't think of the word. You didn't even have a word for that before, and just the communicating on it. I don't have a word for it now. But it might have support your going through with it a little bit
Yes,
more. Yeah.
absolutely. I don't think I necessarily would have said before I experienced it that this would happen because of the support system, but I for sure because we're talking about it, and so just by talking and thinking about it, it's manifesting into reality. But yes, like I can't remember the word that this particular experience is called, where it's like you're sleeping but you're not. And I think, I mean, you said sleep paralysis earlier, but it's something, you're right. It's like something about the visual, like you can open your eyes without opening your eyes. Um,
I can't think of the name.
yeah, I can't think of the word right now either, which is really
Remote viewing.
intense.
Remote viewing.
Remote viewing, there it is. Okay, yes. Um, and I honestly didn't even think that I would ever be able to do it, because even when I was filling out the form and it was like remote viewing, I was like, ew, whatever, I don't even care about that. I was like, I'm in it for one reason and one reason only, because I'm gonna go places.
I mean, it really is in the same genre. It's just using the eye of the spirit instead of physical eyes. So it's kind of, even as you do it all together, we could say that astral projection is remote viewing as well as out of body experience and all this stuff at the same time.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But I think my being, my inner being, my higher self really wanted to experience that, and I could feel it when I was in it, because the part of me that was like, all right, we got this, like we're good. The body said go. So like let's go. And
Good.
then the other part of me was like, no, this is really cool. Like I'm going to do this a little longer. And then what happened after that was that part of me that was so like gung ho kind of quieted down, and then a few minutes later, and I don't know how long later, I actually fell asleep.
Yeah.
And then I woke up later and I was like dreaming, and I can't remember exactly what I was dreaming about, but I remember thinking, oh, I fell asleep. Like I
Just
had the
think,
experience and then I fell asleep, and I woke up.
even just thinking you fell asleep. Like this is definitely something that happens with this. Is that being learning how to awaken our subconscious mind is that even when we think we're asleep, we're really just unconscious, and obviously, but we can become conscious of the unconscious previously, and that's something that's exciting about it. Is that we are deliberately hiding aspects of the universe from ourselves. So even as you
Mm.
might have been actually went to sleep, might have, whatever that really means, but you also could be traveling more, doing more, being more, interacting with more others, and greater planes, greater dimensions, and so on. And it just wasn't for your perspective. Like it's not for the conscious mind at the time, and that we're deliberately keeping it from ourselves. You were at the in this in this scenario. There we go. Uh, because you just like me, we want to have a journey. We want to have something to work with. And you can't just be all high and mighty. I mean, we're not going to even be here. What if you have nothing to do? I need fear to stay here and get out of it again.
Yeah, exactly. I think part of it was I obviously, I say obviously because it's obvious to me. I still am very much in the realm of earthly things, in the sense of sleep. And I've actually for a really long time had sleep issues. Not that I don't sleep. I can fall asleep very easily and I sleep well, but almost every night when I wake up, I'm not that rested.
Mm.
And it's weird, and it doesn't really matter how long I sleep.
Mm.
Um I wake up and I'm not very rested. So I've always had this almost anxiety about sleep.
Okay.
Um and it's so interesting that it's like sort of coming up as we're going through this adventure, because it's making me recognize the things that I am processing through this whole journey. And I think that's part of also why I like fell asleep.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, because I still have, there's like, oh, a whole lot of baggage there. Like that it's just like, woof, like very slowly but surely becoming untangled. And it's funny because when I think about sleep in the way that we think about it, like you close your eyes and then you're like not conscious, unconscious states. Um, it's very cloudy and very like convoluted. The feeling I get is like my brain has like this, all of these things that are like all tangled in there. And it's almost a little bit heavy. And when I think about what we were just talking about and every other experience I've had with traveling, astral projection traveling,
Hmm.
um, it's the exact opposite. Like it's such clarity and such freedom, and it feels very liberating, and it feels very light and airy and clear and smooth, and just all of those words that would describe like something that feels very effortless and really clean. And it's the opposite of what I perceive from my earthly perspective, um, what I perceive sleep to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in the same way, like, I could have, instead of recognizing I was afraid of doing the astral projection and I'm hiding the fact that I'm judging and all this stuff about it, I could have went to sleep as well and avoided knowing this information or recognizing the difficulty that, or let's say the block that's there. Um, so in that sense, this whole experience, we don't need to rip the band-aid off too fast. We don't need to force it or jump off the cliff. Come on, birdie, you can fly, or anything. Just little by little, for everybody out there, including us, just letting it happen, unfolding, and it will just keeping the intent, keeping the desire, keeping the thoughts about it, and the possibility that it could happen tonight, kind of a deal, is the willingness to open up to it every single night, and just allowing that to be open to it is enough, and essentially all that's really needed. As much as we think we're in charge of it,
Mm.
as much as we think we have free will and decide and all that stuff, it might just happen at the same time as we think we're in charge of it, but essentially we're not in charge of really anything that we're doing from this perspective, but it is enjoyable to think that we are, and it's part of the whole experience of this free will, separate self experience. But yeah, the whole dream being cloudy, we're going to discover more. Speaking of, we were talking about studying a course together
Yes.
on this very
Yes.
subject.
Mm-hmm.
So actually discussing in this course and uh, setting up actual lessons on how to achieve these things in somewhat of a casual format, as you and I already have, and right before we go to bed and go to sleep. I think you're ready. But yeah, so you start setting up that course with a Course in Miracles community, and everybody's able to do that, but it will be more structured than this. As far as the casual conversations are helpful, but get more structured. Now the well, I'm talking a lot. You talk for a minute, and then I'll talk again.
Yeah, I think what I part of what I appreciate for the way that I am, with all of these experiences is that I need things to do so that I can turn my mind off and get my body and my mind and my spirit, my soul, everything into the place of the allowing and the receiving mode. So that's part of what I want to share with people in a course about this because it's kind of like little tips and tricks, or not little, kind of huge, I guess, if you think about what's going to be achieved. But like the things that we can think that we can actively do in order to get ourselves to the point where we're not actually doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great. It's something that we need to put in our notes together as this course is in development. However, I also want to say out there, I do have this illumination team. Anybody out there can join this illumination team for all of my courses, and I let people know what course I'm working on currently. And for trade of participation without cost, you join us in a question and answer section that is used and recorded for the course itself, which I think would be helpful with our course as well. So people can join that illumination team by visiting openandclear.com and clicking to do, I think. Click around somewhere, you'll find it. To learn, to listen, and to do. I think it's under to learn and to do. So. But yeah, my dream the third day, the day after, was interesting. That we're in a cave that had like almost like a. I think of it now, trying to put it in words, like a top of a volcano in it. It was like hot springs inside it. So we were in the hot springs and in the cave. So it was like up in the air, but I know there was some man I don't have words or names for right now, and then some woman that thought it was more comfortable being topless in it, and then this fox jumped up and tried to get in but fell. This white-tailed fox, and I noticed that the whole cave was made out of purple sand. And it was really interesting because it was very tranquil and comfortable and just like this still secluded cave of just absolutely, it was just absolute comfort. It's pretty amazing. It doesn't fit quite in with anybody visiting, but it was awesome.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like
The
I'm
weird
trying to
fox.
picture it and just trying to like feel into the words that you're using. That's quite quite a dream. I it seems like what I hear from it is like you have this really nice space that you go to and it's
I don't think I've
yours.
been there, but it seems like a nice place I would be going now.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed topless women. So, anyway, I don't know who they were, but it was a nice place. But the
Ah,
weird fox, like jumping up on the wall and scraping on the wall, trying to get up and then falling down. Very unusual. It was like the only thing that seemed out of place. While everything just felt like it was settled and perfect. But then that was like, wait a second. Is this a dream? Is this not supposed to be happening? What's going on?
wow, that's fascinating. Foxes are interesting creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're cool. They're usually camouflaged. I mean, that's their skill, right? To blend in. So this one wasn't blending in at all. It was actually like being a little obnoxious.
Yeah.
To you, I mean, to your perception, it was talking to you in some way. Were the others noticing the fox too?
I'm not completely aware of that. I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes.
I mean, thinking of it like there's this tranquil space, this nice, comfortable space, and then there's this mischievous thing, or this confusion, this out of place wanting to be sneaky about things, kind of hopping up at the same time. It's like, hey, I'm here, and it can't really hold on with it. But as far it is a reflection of my mind, and being if I was in this nice tranquil place, this beautiful Zen something rather. I definitely do have a goofy side, a mischievous side, a playful side that does always want to come up and make jokes about everything, and it's kind of like that. It's like oh hey, the weird fox thing.
I was gonna ask if you thought other people might perceive you in that way,
As far as
in some
mischievous,
respects. Yeah, like the things you were describing, but you answered it. That you believe you are like that.
I have no problem with people thinking I'm anything I am. Yeah, no,
Well, what's funny is as you were describing that dream, I was thinking how much that sounded like how I see you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Like equal parts tranquil and mischievous.
around a lot, and it's random. It does hop up like on a wall and fall down. Like I'm not supposed to be here.
But it couldn't go. It was stuck.
It's welcome too. It's welcome. I don't mind it. It's a little out of hand sometimes, but yeah, I'm really happy that as far as Tuesday night, I felt like I was visited a lot. I feel like there's a lot of people out there, all of you listening. I feel like you actually achieved some sense of it. Hopefully, you become aware of it if you weren't aware of it, or aren't, or going to be, or something, even tonight, or whenever you are in the future. Just know that I saw many, 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 many faces. And I felt I was more famous than I've ever been in my entire life in that moment. I was like, I never talked to so many people in one night my entire life.
Wow, that's cool. It was like you were a celebrity.
Okay.
A very nice, welcoming celebrity because you spoke with them.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, ew, get out of my face.
I don't have time for this. I gotta go sit in my duvet. Oh, is that a chair? I don't even know.
I don't know.
I don't deserve this fame.
Oh my gosh.
But it was enjoyable. So I look forward to that course, working with you, as well as our casual conversations here. And we'll, of course, let everybody know, right? About it when it happens.
Yes. I want more people to join us on this adventure. So if you're watching, please click the link in the description. I think it's in the description of everything that we're appearing on. And join us. It's such a pleasure to read all of the stories. And I think we've got to compile them and then probably have a whole episode on just talking about the different stories because they're fascinating.
Yeah, perhaps we can structure a little bit in our weeks of the month around. So, like, at the month or the English, jeez, the day of or the day around or after the full moon. We can, of course, be talking about our experience. And then, say the one after that, like next week, we can talk about others' experiences. And as far as assuming we have some, or we can make some up and tell them that they're real. Oh, we're still on. Oh, sorry. We don't want to make them up. Join us. We got a few of you out there, including my wife that some reason joined 3 times. I don't know what was up with that. Kept going through. So, yeah, join us out there. Please. Please.
So, Devan, we have Heather on my YouTube channel, and she's awesome. She's been following me for a while now, and we were chatting throughout this
Oh.
broadcast, and she just called us the Dream Doctors, and I just think that's fantastic. I just love it. I welcome all the
Are we
nicknames you can
doctors
think
yet?
of.
Are we at the doctor level yet? Well, maybe dream apprentices right now, maybe.
Yes, I agree, but I just love the way it sounds. The Dream Doctors.
It is.
I
It is.
aspire to be that.
We're trying it on for size. It might work out. I guess I might be taking the doctor term a little too seriously. Putting it on a pedestal or something.
I technically have a doctorate degree, so there's that.
Yeah, why don't they call the lawyer, what do they call it? Why don't they call it a doctor?
Counselor? They call us counselor. Attorney, counselor, lawyer.
Advocate?
However, in Spanish, you can get called doctor.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Well, it's been enjoyable. And I'd love to hear your experiences out there. Is there anything else we may have missed?
No, I would just thank everybody for being here live and everyone that's watching the replay and also listening to us live or listening to the replay. And I encourage everyone to go on openandclear.com and sign up for everything that you have because it's all amazing.
Yes. Yeah, that illumination team, we give to a limited number, maybe so, of people, and it has to be during the development of the course. Give you free access to the course to participate in a question and answer video call with us. So that involves our course as well. I think it's helpful and everything's cool. All right, good night.
Good night, everyone.
Yes, sleep tight, sleep with angels. The astral bugs bite. Oh, I think of what's that show? Miyazaki. Have you seen his movies with the little witch and the little black bugs? They're like spirit bugs. Okay, never mind.
Oh my goodness, no, I have to go check it out now.
He has several movies, including Ponyo and yeah, I can't even think of the names. Jeez, but great stuff if you like anime. He is bought by Disney too. So. Okay, anyway, get out of here. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, Devan.